Hey everyone, welcome back to Age and Education channel. Today we shall look into the chapter Microorganisms, Friend and Foe. What does it mean? It means that these microorganisms at times will act as a friend to us and they will help us in our daily tasks, and at times as a foe and so cause many diseases and make us sick. So as microorganisms will act as both friend and foe, it means that there might be many differences that you have to know about, right? So we shall get into all those details now, right? So microorganisms or microbes are tiny living organisms that are not visible to our naked eye. They are found in air, water, soil, and even inside our bodies, right? So what does this term micro means? You all know what is the meaning of organisms. Micro means very tiny, very small, right? So these are tiny living organisms and are not visible to our naked eye, right? So they are found in what? They are found everywhere in air, water, soil, and even inside our bodies. During the rainy season, moist bread gets covered with grayish white patches. These are fungi, a type of microorganism. Some microbes can be seen with magnifying glass, others only with a microscope, right? So if you need a microscope, it means that they are very tiny, right? You can't see it with magnifying glass and you have to use a microscope for that, right? And this bread, when if you see any stale bread, you can see some grayish white patches on it, right? These grayish white patches are a type of fungi, right? And these are easily visible, and so you can see it through the magnifying glass, right? So there are some other microorganisms which are so very tiny that you will have to need a microscope to see them, all right? Now microorganisms are classified into four major groups, right? So what are these? Bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and some algae. We will look into all these further, right? So here you can look into all the diagrams of bacteria, algae, protozoa, and fungi, right? These are the bacteria, and here we find algae, right? And here are the protozoa. These are amoeba, paramecium. And how about fungi? We have mentioned earlier, right, that bread mold is a type of fungi, and penicillium. This is very important. I'll tell you about it later, right? So all these are types of microorganisms, all right? All right, we have looked into different types of microorganisms, right? Like bacteria, fungus, algae, protozoa. Then you often hear about this term virus, right? About this organism virus, which causes diseases. Then why didn't we get that in the list? Did you think over it? It is because viruses are also microscopic but differ from other microbes. They reproduce only inside the cells of a host organism. Diseases like cold, flu, polio, and chickenpox are caused by the viruses, right? So viruses, although these are microscopic, they reproduce only inside the cells of a host organism, which makes these organisms different from the other microbes that we have mentioned earlier, right? So some microorganisms are harmful and cause diseases, right? We have mentioned earlier that microorganisms are both useful, like they may be friend or they may be foe. So in this case, when these are causing diseases like dysentery and malaria, like the protozoa causes these two diseases, and typhoid and tuberculosis are caused by some type of bacteria. So when these microorganisms causes diseases, then these microorganisms will act as foe to the human, right? Not only for the human beings, even in animals, some microorganisms will cause diseases, all right? So microbes live in extreme environments, like they can live in icy area, hot springs, deserts, and inside animals. They may live freely or on other organisms, right? So they can live freely or on other organisms, and they can bear extreme environments. They can stay everywhere, right? Useful in making curd, bread, cake, cheese, pickles and medicines. Also help clean the environment and increase soil fertility. So we have seen here the role of microorganisms as a foe, right? And here it is a friend, right? Because we need all these curd, bread, cake, cheese, pickles and medicines. We need, every one of us will need all this, right? So these microorganisms are helpful in making all these, right? And also they will clean the environment and increase the soil fertility. Lactobacillus bacteria promote curd formation by converting milk into curd. What is it? Lactobacillus bacteria is a form of bacteria and it promotes the curd formation by converting milk into curd. Yeast helps ferment batter for idlis and dosa, right? Yeast is another microorganism that helps ferment batter for idlis and dosa. Yeast reproduces rapidly and produces carbon dioxide during respiration. Bubbles of the gas fill the dough and increase its volume. This is the basis of the use of yeast in the baking industry for making breads, pastries and cakes. Alright. So what are the other uses of these microbes? These are used in large scale production of alcohol, wine and vinegar. Yeast is grown on sugar-rich substances for fermentation. Yeast converts sugar into alcohol and this process is called fermentation. It is discovered by Louis Pasteur in 1857, thus revolutionizing microbiology. So what is all this about? It is like the yeast is grown on sugar-rich substances, right? And this yeast helps convert the sugar into alcohol and this process is called fermentation. Through this process of fermentation, we obtain alcohol, wine and vinegar. And this process is discovered by whom? Louis Pasteur in 1857, right? So because of the fermentation itself, we can get this alcohol, wine and vinegar, and this is possible because of the yeast, a microorganism, right? Then how about the other usage of microorganisms? Microorganisms also produce antibiotics that kill or stop harmful microbes. See how funny it is, right? Microorganisms, we say at one place that microorganisms causes diseases, but the other point you will say that microorganisms help produce antibiotics that will stop the harmful microbes, right? So what are the examples of these? Penicillin, streptomycin and tetracycline. So even this process someone should have discovered it, right? Who is that? In 1929, Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin from a mold that killed bacteria in culture plates, right? So it is by like a mere type of accident while he was doing some research on the bread mold and everything, he accidentally found that because of this penicillin that has come from the mold, the bacteria in the culture plates got killed. So he found that penicillin will act as an antibiotic or something that stops the harmful microbes. And when did all this happen? It happened in 1929. So we have seen microorganisms for fermentation, for the purposes of fermentation, and microorganisms to produce antibiotics to stop the harmful microbes, and microorganisms can also in some manner be used in vaccines, right? So what are vaccines? First of all, vaccines, what happens in vaccines is that you introduce weakened microbes to help the body develop immunity. What does all this mean? What is this concept of weakened microbes being introduced into the body to develop immunity? It is because consider a full-fledged virus, full virulent virus, full strengthened virus enters the body. Then what happens? Not the virus, microorganisms. What happens then? Then your body have to find a way to fight it, right? Even before your body learns to fight it as how it can actually throw it out of your body, that particular microorganism will take over the entire body and it will weaken your system. Then your body won't even be able to fight with it, right? But here in the vaccines, what happens? These weakened microbes will be introduced into the body so that your body will be prepared based upon its structure and its capability, like the microbe structure and capability. These organisms will have some peculiarity, right? So all these will be learned by our body, and as these microbes as such is a weakened one, it cannot attack, but it will receive the defense mechanism of our body, right? So in this way our body will learn how to fight with that particular microbe, and when the real microbe enters the body in some or the other manner, then our body will be already prepared, right? So it will go and attack the microbe in a way that can be killed, right? So this is the use of vaccines. We all know, right? There will be many vaccines, like for cholera, TB, smallpox, and we keep listening about all these. So vaccines are very important in the human life. And this first vaccine was developed in 1798 by Edward Jenner for smallpox, and this is the beginning of what? Immunology, right? So this concept of using vaccines to fight the diseases is called as immunology, right? All right, this is about microorganisms, and we shall continue this chapter in the next class. All right, see you. Bye.